Alright, what's up everyone? I'm here, middle of the woods. Right now it's kind of, you can see, quite wet. Basically the woods floods every year, but it's a nice place to make a video because you're literally totally alone, especially when it's flooded. Because most people aren't going to go out in it, obviously. Anyways, wanted to make a video, a little update from the last one. I guess just want to talk about, moving to Charlotte, and so yeah, it's just been a lot of consideration on it, I guess you could say, because originally I was planning to quit my job a few days ago from today. That was my original plan, but not necessarily that I couldn't do it, because I definitely think I could have, and I think I still would have been okay. And obviously moving to a new city without a job is an inherent risk in itself, regardless of how much you save. But I still just kind of wanted that extra safety net, I guess you could say. And there are some things I just kind of want to do, in Buffalo before I leave. I just general appointments. I want to get a suit just for interviews. And then just have some general Buffalo stuff before I leave. Buffalo foods, Loganberry, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's definitely been difficult and remains difficult. Obviously, moving to a new city is something scary. When I did study abroad in Germany, that was only 4 months, but it was still, 4 months outside of the norm without literally knowing anyone. I ended up loving it because, I got to visit a ton of countries in Europe, but at the same time, it was terrifying. However, this is a bit different since it's, assumedly at least, more of a permanent move. And a lot of people, including my parents, say, why don't you just get a job and then move down? Which is probably the smarter idea. I do agree. However, it's a lot more difficult to get a job when you don't live in the area, and you can fake it. Like, I use a Google Voice number, and I don't include my address on my resume or anything. However, when it comes down to, can you come down for an interview? No, I can't really, because it's expensive. Like, you have to buy, obviously, a plane ticket, hotel room, etc., get around, food. Not to say it wouldn't be expensive to move somewhere without a job, but obviously the same problem would just keep coming up, and I can't, take time off work and then on top of that spend money every time on a plane ticket, because unfortunately an entry-level job, people aren't gonna pay to fly me down, and not on a weekend. But yeah, there's definitely things that I would miss from Buffalo. Like I said, the food, which I was kind of going over earlier, things I wanted to do before I left. These woods, they're literally my childhood woods. This sign, really faded, but I think this one says Rogers, is my surname, and then might be gone, or this could be it. They're super faded because they've been out here since I was like 5 or something, and I'm 24 now, so understandably it's pretty much gone. I honestly can't even make this one out. The way it was pointed, I'm gonna guess, is pointed to our neighbors, the Shooties. That way, because we had another sign which must have fallen off and decayed a while ago, because I think I remember that. Going that way, which is in the direction of pond. We spelled it backwards, D-N-O-P, reverse pond. Can't really go there anymore because it's been taken over by a large, wealthy estate. But still a lot of the forest left. Right in this area where the signs are, where we buried my 2 cats. So we have their grave sites here. This one here is Percy. I believe Percy died when I was in 10th grade, if I remember correctly. And then Kiwi here. He died, I believe. My parents were in Italy. Not sure what that year would be. I'm gonna say. I want to say I was still in high school at that point, but I'm not totally sure. But regardless, point is, does have some memories for me. And I think some people could relate to that. It's just, you know, your childhood type of thing. But ultimately, you know, you gotta move on. And then on top of that, of course, I have my family and friends. I really love a lot of my coworkers even. So yeah, that is definitely the difficult part. However, I really hate the winter, and it's a lot more mild there. Obviously, people also say, you know, it's super hot in the summer in Charlotte, which is also true. But I would take heat over extreme cold. And yeah. You know, I feel like I get seasonal depression being in Buffalo because it gets so cold and cut off there. But it really brings you down because you're basically stuck inside for most of the year. You're like at least 6 months on a good year. But yeah, that's not the biggest reason, obviously. It's, of course, a bigger city than Buffalo, so there's more opportunity. And, you know, I think it's good to have a healthy change of pace every once in a while in your life. You know, I'm not in a relationship. I have no kids. I don't own anything here. Well, I mean, I have stuff, but I don't own like property or anything. So nothing really tying me down except, you know, what I went over earlier. And while I'd like to take the good qualities of Buffalo and move them to Charlotte with me, obviously that's not a possibility. Yeah. And I realize very few, if any, people will obviously be watching this because, you know, I upload like one video every 2 months, even though I always promise myself I'll do more. But it's nice to have a video record because, you know, when you're in the time, I guess, you do, you know, you feel like you'll remember exactly. But then as the years go on, you can probably still remember it if you commit to it, but the exact details of it get kind of shady. So it's interesting to kind of record where I'm at in this current portion of my life for future me, if that makes sense. Another reason which I didn't go over and why I haven't left yet, even though I was kind of planning on moving in late or early June originally, and then late June a little after that, just because my parents are going on vacation and I have to watch cat for them. So I was gonna be like, okay, I'll stay a little later. But essentially, you know, it was more comforting to save up a little more money. And I do currently live in my parents' house and work full time, so I'm able to save a good amount of money. I do pay rent to them, but it's way below what I'd be paying in an apartment or even as a roommate. So definitely good aspects there. And ultimately the summers in Buffalo aren't bad. I don't sound ungrateful here, but the difficult part is staying at my current job. It is a call center, to be quite blunt. I don't really enjoy it. I try very hard at it, and I love the people there, but it's pretty tough because it's all legal based, and it's a lot of people just yelling at you for 8 hours a day on the phone, which can obviously bring anyone down. But you know, I do well there, and I get little awards and everything, but just not for me. Understandable if it is for someone else, but not my kind of vibe. Just for reference here, you can see how deep it is. It was a lot deeper earlier, but and another aspect, I do feel bad about moving as well, because currently my grandma lives here, not with a grandpa or anything, because he died like before I was born. And I drive her on Wednesdays, and on Mondays and Fridays I, go to the bank for her or pick up groceries or whatever it may be. But which I do feel bad about leaving her, and I do really love her. I mean, she's my grandmother. My other two grandparents live in Florida. I didn't clarify that. But ultimately, like, pretty much my entire family on my dad's side, which is my grandma's side, lives in Buffalo, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not like she'll be alone or anything. So literally all her kids, which she has now, it's gonna look bad on me, but aunts and uncles. Let's see this. I want to say my dad has 6 or 7 siblings. It's an Irish family, so you get the idea. But yeah, she has plenty of people here, and both my sisters moved away, so at the end of the day I can't feel bad. As far as I can tell, she doesn't mind that I'm leaving. I do mind a little, just because, I do enjoy being around her, and I will miss that, but can't go on forever. Obviously, my biggest fear is sort of getting stuck in Buffalo, like getting tied down in Buffalo. I don't know if anyone can relate to that. I mean, you probably can, but just the general fear of like, I'll just be here for another 5 years, I'll save some money, and then you get in a relationship, or you get like a really good job, and there are really good jobs here. I'm not trying to knock Buffalo as much as I sound like I do, but it's just not the place for me. I definitely will visit and everything, but I have to make the leap eventually, and it is a bit unconventional, I think, the way I'm doing it. What I'm planning on doing as of now, obviously though, my plans seem to change, so don't hold me to it. I'm gonna really commit and try to make it this way, but my current plan is to basically leave mid-August. I think it would be the 3rd Tuesday of August, if I'm correct, which is when it is pretty brutally hot in Charlotte, but you gotta experience it eventually. And I know my parents are really against it, but you just gotta sort of make a decision for yourself eventually on things. And yeah, so I guess just to end this video, just one final point, I guess, on moving without a job. Whoa. I'm obviously gonna have several $1,000s saved, and obviously you could say, oh, you shouldn't move, blah, blah, blah. And I agree. Like I said before, it's obviously risky. Unless some miracle happens, it's probably gonna happen though. I'm gonna definitely apply to a lot of jobs right before I leave. That way, if I'm able to get an interview, I'm gonna actually be there. My plan is to get an Airbnb for a month, because a monthly rental, I think it's about, when I looked at it, just a room, like $700 to $800 for a month, which isn't terrible. That's about what you'd pay to rent an actual apartment. Obviously you don't get the apartment to yourself, but beggars can't be choosers.